Let me tell you something most people will never say out loud. You don't owe everyone your time. You don't owe everyone your presence, your energy, your attention, your availability. Some of you are tired, not because you've done too much, but because you've given too much to people who gave you nothing in return. You're answering every call, responding to every request, showing up for everyone except you. And the harsh truth is, not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone has earned the right to your time, your peace, your attention. And the more available you make yourself to everyone, the more they start believing your time isn't valuable. Let that sink in. You keep saying yes to people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. You keep stretching yourself thin for people who don't respect your boundaries. You keep being nice when what you really need is self-respect. You think being constantly available means you're kind. Number. It means you're accessible to everyone and protected by no one, especially not yourself. And I get it. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to let people down. You want to be liked, needed, appreciated. But at what cost? Your peace, your focus, your goals, your identity? There comes a time when you have to stop being the person who's always on call. Because when you're always reachable, you become easy to use, not easy to value. People start expecting you to drop everything, to respond immediately, to help them solve their chaos while ignoring your own. And every time you do, every time you say yes when your soul is begging for a break, you teach them that your boundaries are flexible and your needs are optional. That's not love. That's self-neglect. The more you make yourself available to everyone, the more invisible you become to yourself. Let's be real. If you're always answering, who's listening to you? If you're always helping, who's helping you? If you're always showing up for others, when are you showing up for your own life? People say, but isn't that selfish? Let me be clear. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's survival. You're not here to be everybody's emergency exit. You're not here to be everybody's emotional dumpster. You're not here to solve problems that weren't yours to begin with. You are here to build, to grow, to elevate. And you cannot do that if you're constantly drained from trying to be everything to everyone. The ones who truly respect you won't require constant access. They'll honor your boundaries. They'll understand your silence. They'll see your distance not as rejection, but as self-protection. So stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. Stop apologizing for needing time alone. Stop trying to explain your absence to people who were never present for your struggle. You want to reclaim your power? Start by respecting your own time. Because when you stop making yourself available to everyone, you finally become available to the life you were actually meant to live. Number 1, when you're always available, you become invisible. Let's not sugarcoat this. When you're always available, you're no longer respected, you're expected. Every time you say yes, when your spirit is screaming no, you're giving away more than your time. You're giving away your dignity. And at first, they'll thank you. They'll admire how helpful you are. But soon, they won't even notice the effort. Because now it's routine, now it's normal. Now it's your role to be the one who's always there. But let me tell you something that might sting. The more you say yes to everyone else, the more you disappear from your own life. Your goals, delayed. Your peace, disturbed. Your priorities, dismissed. And why? Because you keep proving to others that their needs matter more than your own. You think you're being selfless? But what if I told you that you're just slowly abandoning yourself? Real love doesn't demand constant sacrifice. Real connection doesn't thrive on obligation. Real respect isn't built on how much you can take, but on how clearly you draw the line. So let's flip the script. You're not cold for protecting your time. You're not selfish for saying not now. You're not wrong for choosing your own peace over someone else's chaos. You're smart. You're grounded. You're finally waking up to the truth. You weren't born to be everyone's lifeline. You were born to build, to create, to live with intention and direction. And none of that is possible when you're constantly running to rescue people from fires they keep starting for themselves. So here's the new standard. If it drains you, step back. If it distracts you, cut it off. If it disrespects your time, don't entertain it. You weren't put here to be everyone's backup plan, therapist, or emotional crutch. You were put here to live fully, to guard your energy, and to walk with purpose, not guilt. Respect begins when you stop apologizing for needing space. You don't have to explain your silence. You don't have to justify your distance. You don't owe people an explanation for choosing your own well-being. The truth is simple. You don't have to be accessible to everyone. You have to be loyal to yourself first. Because when you stop making yourself constantly available, you don't lose people. You lose the ones who are only attached to your convenience. And that's not a loss. That's a lesson. Number 2, boundaries are not walls. They're doors to your self-respect. Some people hear the word boundaries and think it means being cold, distant, unkind. But let me make this clear. Boundaries are not punishments. They are protection. Boundaries don't say, I don't care about you. They say, I care about me too. You cannot keep pouring from an empty cup. You cannot keep giving what you no longer have. And you certainly cannot build a future while constantly cleaning up the past for other people. When you set a boundary, you're not closing the door to love. You're closing the door to overreach, manipulation, and emotional exhaustion. Because here's what they never taught you growing up. Saying no is a form of self-respect. It's a declaration that your time has value, that your peace is sacred, that your life matters, not just to others, but to you. But here's the real challenge. When you finally start setting boundaries, people will test them. They'll guilt you. They'll question you. They'll say you've changed. Good. You were supposed to change. You were never meant to remain a doormat, a helper on call, or a silent witness to your own burnout. Change isn't betrayal. Change is growth. And if someone leaves because you enforced a healthy boundary, they were never there for the right reasons anyway. You don't need people who only love you when you're easy to use. You need people who love you when you stand firm, when you say enough, when you protect your purpose. Let me ask you, would you let a stranger walk into your house without knocking, without permission, and start rearranging your furniture? Of course not. So why do you let people do that with your time, your mind, your life? If your schedule is open to everyone, your life will be owned by everyone, except you. And the ones who truly value you, they'll celebrate your boundaries, they'll understand your silence, they'll honor your time without being asked twice. So let's redefine respect. It's not about being available, it's about being clear. I won't take calls after this hour. I'm not available on weekends. I need this time for myself. I can't carry your emotions for you. You don't need to yell. You don't need to argue. You just need to be firm, honest, and consistent. Because your life will only rise to the level of boundaries you're brave enough to enforce. And if you're serious about protecting your energy, then boundaries aren't optional, they're essential. Number 3, saying no is a full sentence. You were not born to say yes to everything. You were not created to live at the mercy of everyone else's urgency. And you are not weak for saying no. In fact, that one word might be the most powerful tool in your entire life. But here's the problem. Too many people say yes out of fear. Fear of being judged. Fear of being left out. Fear of being called selfish, cold, or difficult. So they keep agreeing. They keep bending. They keep allowing themselves to be overextended. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. And over time, they become exhausted shells of who they used to be. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you said no and didn't explain it? Because you don't owe an explanation for protecting your own well-being. You don't owe a paragraph for guarding your peace. No is not rejection. It's direction. A signal that you're choosing with intention. It's easy to say yes. It makes everyone else happy. It keeps the peace on the outside. But inside, you're at war. Because every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to something that builds you. Your dream, your rest, your focus, your boundaries, all of them are sacrificed for another person's approval. And that's how you lose yourself. Start treating your time like currency. Would you give all your money to someone who doesn't respect it? Then stop giving your minutes to people who don't value them either. Saying no is how you reclaim your power. It's how you pull your life back into your hands. It's how you stop living in reaction and start living with purpose. And no, it won't be easy at first. Some people will get upset. Some will try to manipulate you. Some will walk away. Let them. Because anyone who walks away because you finally stood up for yourself was never walking with you, only walking on you. Your life isn't about being nice. It's about being authentic. It's about being clear about what you can and cannot give, and trusting that those who are meant to stay will stay. So the next time you feel the pressure to say yes, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, am I doing this out of love or out of guilt? Because love is generous, but guilt is slavery in disguise, and you were not made to live like a prisoner in your own life. Number 4, protecting your peace is a daily discipline. Peace isn't something you find once and keep forever. It's not a moment, it's a discipline, a daily decision to protect what matters, to shield your energy, to remove yourself from what doesn't serve your soul. You see, when you stop being available for everything and everyone, you don't become empty, you become focused. Peace doesn't live in noise. It lives in clarity. It lives in structure. It lives in the quiet strength of someone who finally decided to stop fighting battles that weren't theirs to fight. Some people confuse busyness with importance. They run around, drained and burnt out, thinking that saying yes to everything means they're valuable. But real peace says, I don't need to be everywhere. I just need to be where I'm called. Because not every fight is yours. Not every invite deserves a response. Not every person is meant to have a seat at your table. Let me tell you something you might not want to hear. Peace isn't passive. It's powerful. It takes strength to walk away. It takes maturity to not engage. It takes wisdom to choose silence over senseless arguments. And that kind of peace? It's earned through boundaries, through intention, through choosing your emotional health over temporary validation. You don't owe anyone constant access to your thoughts, your plans, or your time. You don't have to explain why you don't want to attend. You don't need to apologize for resting. You don't need to feel bad for walking away from people who only call when they need something. Because peace is expensive. And the more you give your energy away to chaos, the less of it you'll have left to build the life you truly desire. You protect peace by simplifying your circle, by staying true to your rhythm, by saying, that's not for me, without guilt or drama. Because every time you say no to what's wrong, you say yes to what's right. Every time you protect your stillness, you strengthen your direction. And when peace becomes your standard, not everyone will fit, not everyone will stay. But that's the beauty of it. You'll stop being drained, you'll stop being used, you'll stop being defined by how many people need you, and start being defined by how powerfully you protect yourself. Number 5, become selective. Not everyone deserves access. You were not meant to be public property. You were not designed to be available to every hand that knocks, every voice that calls, every person that demands. There is power in being selective, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. You don't let everyone walk through your home uninvited, so why let them walk through your mind, your time, your life? Every time you give your attention to someone, you're giving away your most valuable currency, and the truth is, most people spend it carelessly, because you never taught them to spend it wisely, but that ends now. You want to level up? You want to walk in purpose? You want to rise into the person you keep seeing in your vision? Then become selective. Be selective with your time. Not every conversation deserves a reply. Not every event needs your presence. Not every problem is your responsibility to fix. Be selective with your energy. There are people who drain you just by entering the room, and there are people who elevate you with a single word. Know the difference. Be selective with your presence. You are not required to show up just to make someone else feel comfortable. You don't have to shrink yourself to fit spaces you've outgrown. And yes, when you become selective, you will lose some people. But the right ones will respect your presence more because it's not always guaranteed. See, when you're constantly available, people stop seeing you as a gift and start seeing you as a given. But when you take your power back, when you become unavailable to nonsense, unavailable to drama, unavailable to emotional freeloaders, you become valuable because now your time is rare, your energy is guarded, your presence is intentional. You are no longer stretched thin, you are no longer burned out, you are no longer saying yes to everything and no to yourself. You are anchored, you are clear, you are respected. So be bold enough to protect what's yours. Be wise enough to know not everyone deserves access, and be strong enough to walk away when your peace is on the line. Because at the end of the day, you can't build a powerful life if you're constantly available to people who don't even respect the foundation. You were never meant to be available for everyone. You were meant to build. You were meant to grow. You were meant to live a life of clarity, focus, and purpose. But that only happens when you draw the line. When you stop explaining your boundaries. When you stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. When you stop watering dead plants hoping they'll bloom out of obligation. You don't need to apologize for valuing your time. You don't need to defend your silence. You don't need to carry what was never yours to hold. You are not selfish for protecting your peace. You are wise. So from this day forward, stop being available for people who drain you. Stop being accessible to situations that distract you. And start being loyal to the life you're trying to build. Because once you stop being available to everyone, you finally become available to the greatness inside you. Take care of yourself. Protect your time. Respect your energy. And most of all, respect yourself.